Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Shilpa Data Insights. We will start with the day 4 workshop for Databricks. I hope you have attended the first 3 sessions of this workshop because those are the foundation level that we had, and now we will be discussing a little advanced topic of Databricks. So, in order to just recap, I'll just mention the topics that we have already covered. So the first thing that we discussed about in the day one was the Databricks workspace and how we can create the cluster, how we can manage the cluster. Then what are the libraries? How we go ahead and install the library in the Databricks workspace in the cluster level as well. Then we also discussed about the repos. We discussed about the DBFS, that is our distributed file system, Databricks file system. And then we discussed about the magic commands, how you can go ahead and use the magic commands as well as the dbutils command. Then in the next day, we also discussed about the delta table, how you can go ahead and create your delta table and do some operations on the delta table, like the time traveling and the table history, and how you can use the optimize and vacuum command on the delta tables and what exactly these commands are. So let's begin with the today's session. Basically, that we will be covering one major topic, that is Unity Catalog. What is exactly Unity Catalog that Databricks provides, and how we can work with the Unity Catalog. What is the role-based access control that Databricks provide? Then we will go ahead and jump into the secret scope. What exactly is the secret scope? How you can create the secret scope, and how you can create your secrets, and what are the type of secret scope. So in today's agenda, these are the three topics that we will be concentrating on, and we'll do a hands-on on basically the Unity Catalog and the secret scope. So, what exactly is Unity Catalog? So, Unity Catalog is like a centralized system where you can go ahead and access, where you can actually control your permissions. You can do an auditing. You can also get your lineage of your table and do a data discovery capabilities across all your Databricks workspace. So let's say you have a workspace where you are actually providing some permissions and all. You need to just provide the permissions only once, and those permissions can be utilized across all your workspace with the help of the Unity Catalog. With the help of Unity Catalog, you can also do an auditing of your tables. So there is a system schema that Databricks provide where all the logs are actually stored. So the auditing becomes very easy and simplified with the help of the Unity Catalog. Along with it, you also get the lineage of the table, all the downstream tables, all the upstream tables that is associated with one base table. So you will get the complete lineage across all your Databricks workspace in the Unity Catalog. So it becomes very easy to track down all the how exactly the data is flowing from one table to another. You don't have to put a manual effort to actually read the code and get your lineage. So that is one benefit of Unity Catalog. Without the Unity Catalog, how exactly the Databricks workspace was looking like, if you will see in the diagram on the left side, you will have your own user management system. You will have your meta store and the compute. User management system means all the permissions and policies will be saved in your user management, and that will be separate across each workspace. So for each workspace, you have to define your own user management. Along with it, you need to define your meta store, your metadata of your tables or views or schemas. And you need to declare and create your own compute across each workspace. With the help of the Unity Catalog, you just need to create your own compute cluster in each workspace. They are independent, but the user management system remains the same for each workspace. You can predefine which workspace will be using what policies across each workspace. And also, the meta store is a present inside the Unity Catalog. You can use it across the Databricks workspace. So that is one benefit that you will get with the help of this Unity Catalog. So let's see, the next that we have is how exactly this Unity Catalog model will look like. So basically, in the normal legacy system, you have your schema and you have your table name. In Unity Catalog, what you get is you get the three level namespace. So the first level namespace you have is your top level, where you have your meta store, in which all the metadata like your catalog, your share, your delta share, your recipients, providers are stored. Inside your meta store, if you have your catalog predefined, in that catalog you can actually mention your schemas. Let's say you have a schema of dev, then UAT and prod, you can declare it like that. It's just an example. So inside that schema you can also have your tables, views, your models and functions. So whenever you have to let's say read a table or get the data from a table, then you have to mention it in a three level namespace, that is your catalog name along with your schema, then your table name. By default, Databricks provides the Hive meta store, and then you get your schema and your tables. But with the help of Unity Catalog, if you have the Unity Catalog enabled in your workspace, then you need to mention your catalog name, schema, and then the table name. So, what is a role based access control? So, let's first understand what is a role. Role is any action that you can perform on a data set or a table. So, if you want to just read the data, then you are just having the read permission. If you are providing a modify permission to a data set, then you can actually edit that particular data set, or you can have the complete permission, which is like an admin level permission that you can get. So this role can be divided across three securable objects. The first object that you can define your role is in your workspace level. Every Databricks, you can create multiple workspaces. So each workspace you can define a particular role. In that workspace you have multiple objects, like you have your cluster, you have your notebook, you have your jobs. So you can predefine what level of access a particular person will be requiring for those objects. So that is actually a workspace level securable objects. Then you have an account level securable objects, means you have a data engineering team or a data science team. So they will be needing different privileges. So you can create a service principal for each team and provide a particular cluster or a particular workflow to that particular service principal. So anyone who is a part of that particular service principal will have the same level of access control. So that is actually an account level securable object. Then we have the data securable object, in which we have the Unity catalog as we discussed, and then the delta sharing. So if you have any data object, you want to do a sharing of those data objects, that can also be done. You can provide permissions whether that data can be accessible by different teams or not. So in this, there are two roles. Basically, one is the personal level role, in which you can be an administrator. It could be a data engineer, it could be a data scientist, it could be analyst and developer or support. So each group will be having a required permission. So let's say the data engineer will need permission of a notebook of read and write and manage. So you can provide all the three permissions to data engineer. Let's say you want your support team only to read the data, then you can provide the read permission to the support team. Similarly, the administrator will have all the permissions that will be applicable for that particular object. So the object, let's say on the right side, if you will see, there are different objects. As I was mentioning, you can have a cluster, so you can provide either an attach permission to a cluster, an edit permission to a cluster, or a run permission, or you can also do a manage permission. So similarly, you have your jobs. Everyone does not need to go ahead and manage a particular job. So there could be specific team who will need the access of the manage permission. Let's say the jobs are in production, so you, let's say you don't want or you don't need the permission of managing those jobs, but you need those permissions in the dev jobs basically. So in that you can actually have your edit permission and the manage permission for the job. So it depends on what workspace you are, what environment you are, and what workspace object you will be needing the permission, and at what level you will be needing it. So let's move on to the next topic that we have, that is the secret scope. So let's first understand what is a secret scope. Secret scope is a collection of secrets which are identified by a name. So before understanding the secret scope, let's first know what exactly is a secret. Secret is a key value pair that stores the secret material with a key name unique within a secret scope. So that means any kind of credential, authentication key, or password, you will be saving those credentials in a redacted form, which is actually called a secret, so that no one can go ahead and get the access of your authentication key or your passwords. So those secrets are actually grouped together and then put inside a secret scope. So if you are given the permission to a particular secret scope, then you will have access to a particular secret. So that's why it's needed for creation of secret, because in the code it's not a best practice to actually show the authentication code or your passwords. So for managing the secrets, there are two things that you will be requiring. First is you have to create a secret scope. After creation of the secret scope, you can define your secrets. So the secrets will be again in the key value pair like a dictionary. So you will mention what is your secret name and what is your value, that is your authentication key, that will be corresponding to that particular key of the secret. So why exactly to use it? It's because you don't want to actually deliberately show your passwords to inside the code so that anyone can use it. So this is an example from the Azure Databricks. So if in case you have a storage account, you have your container name and you have an access key, then in order to access, or you want to go ahead and get the data from the container, you have to first access that particular container. So you have to set that Spark configuration setting. So you have to provide the access key. So in this case, access key, if you will see that the access key is not provided, but the scope name is provided, that is my blob, and the key name is provided, that is access key. So there is a method basically with the help of the DB utils, you can get your secrets. You will not be able to visualize the secrets that are present, but you will be able to access whatever data is there in the secrets in the form of, in a redacted form. So how exactly you can manage the secret in a Databricks? So there are basically two types in which you can manage. Before that, first let's see how exactly the secrets are present. So in the Databricks workspace, you can create multiple secret scopes, and inside one secret scope, you can create multiple secrets. So let's say one secret scope could be a connection to Teradata. The second secret scope could be a connection to your blob storage. The third secret scope could be any third party that you want to connect to. So if you are giving the passwords, you can mention it inside the secret scope, and you can access the secrets with the help of that and access the data from those external sources. There is a limit of 100 secret scopes that you can create in a Databricks, and inside each secret scope you can have maximum of 1000 secrets. So the types of secret scope are basically two. One is the Azure Key Vault scope, and the second is the Databricks backed scope. So in the Azure Key Vault scope, basically the Azure in the Azure, basically the database is present where you are actually saving it, and the particular key and value is in an encrypted format. And you can manage the secret scope either with the help of the REST API or using the Azure Portal UI. In the Databricks back scope, you can manage the secret scope only with the help of the Databricks CLI. So you can create your secret scope using the Databricks CLI, but you can read it with the help of your notebooks as well. And these secrets are basically managed by a database that is owned by the Databricks platform internally. And the data is actually in an encrypted format, so you will not be able to see the data in it. So the permissions level of secret scope are, there are three permissions level that we have. First is manage, in which you can manage everything about the secret scopes and the ACL, and user can configure or fine grain the permissions to different people and the group of accessing the different scopes and secrets. Then you can also write and read the keys of a particular secret scope if you have your write permission. And if you just have your read permission, in that case, you can only read the secret scope and list all the secret scope available inside it, but you don't have the permission to create a new secret inside that particular secret scope. So to create a secret scope creation, first of all, you need to have a token in the Databricks, which is called the personal access token. Once you have created that token, you need to configure that token in your Databricks CLI with the help of the command Databricks configure hyphen hyphen token, and put your token that is being generated. And then you can list the scope just to see if there's already an existing scope, because you need to have a distinguished name for each scope. It should be unique, it should not be a duplicate scope. And then for creating the Databricks secret scope, you can use the create scope method and the scope name that we have. We will see this in the practical as well, how exactly we will be doing it with the help of the Databricks CLI. Then you can create the secret with the help of the put command and the scope and whatever access key that you want to put in the string value pair. And you can list the scope again to see if the secret scope has been created properly or not. If you want to go ahead and list it inside the notebook, you have to use your dbutils command to do a dbutils.secret.list and your secret scope name. Then you have to delete your secret scope. Then you can use the delete hyphen scope as your command and delete it. So this was the complete introduction how you can create the secret scope. We will focus on the practical also, how we can do it. Now, these are some Databricks references that I have provided. The Databricks documentation, where you can go through the Unity catalog in much more detail. And in the secret scope, I have created a YouTube video as well on that secret scope from start to end. If in case you want to visit it, you can also go through that video one more time. So let's go ahead with the practical, and let's first do the Unity catalog for it. So in this, I will first show you what we have in this catalog space. Okay, it's taking some time to load, but if you will see in this catalog, you will have multiple catalogs. By default, it Databricks provide Hive Metastore, main, sample, and system. So Hive Metastore is, as soon as a workspace is created, this Hive Metastore is present, and we have created this demo as the catalog. So in order to create catalog, you need to have a write permission to create the catalog. Inside this create catalog, basically you can create your schemas. These are the schemas that are already present, and inside that schema you can create your table. So let's first go ahead and create a schema. So I'll just first use the catalog. Okay, I have to first run it, but I'll just explain you what we are doing before basically executing it, so that the cluster gets turned on. So in order to use the catalog, it's the same method that is use schema that you do. In the same method, you have to use your catalog, this particular catalog name that we created. And in order to create the catalog, if you will see on the left side, you also have your catalog where you can actually create the catalog basically. I don't see it here because I don't have permission, but you can also create your own catalog if you have the right permission to it. So once you have used your catalog, you can create a schema if in case it does not exist. So I'm creating a schema called Shilpa underscore UC, that is the Unity catalog. Once the schema is created, I will be creating a table called Shilpa UC and demo table. So if you will see here, this is my Unity catalog demo, and This is my schema name, Shilpa underscore UC, and I'm creating a table called demo underscore table. And I'm providing my data type and my column names. Once I have created this particular table, then I can go ahead and grant some permission to this particular table that is present inside my Unity catalog. So before that, let's see first what exactly permissions are provided under this particular Shilpa underscore UC schema. So if you will see, I have done a show grant on that schema. So I created this schema, and these are the permissions that are already present. So if you are going to see, all the privileges are being present inside this particular schema. So I did not give explicitly the permission, but whatever permission is provided inside this Unity catalog, these are inherited in to the schema basically. So all the privileges are present in this particular schema. Now, if I go ahead and check what is my grants for this particular table, what permission level is present, then it will be inherited from the Shilpa underscore UC, which is my schema level. So if you will see here, basically all my all privileges are provided. These are again coming from whatever schema is being provided. So I think I don't need to run it because I showed you the result was already present here. And if I show you inside this catalog explorer, you will see that the schema is already being present. So let me go to that location, or let me filter that. See, this schema is already present, which I created, and the table is there. So in this Unity catalog also, there's one feature. If I go to this, it will show me all the details of it. Let's say who is the owner of it, what is the data source format, it's Delta by default. It will go ahead and give me the sample data if in case I have inserted some data. Right now I don't have any data into it, so I can see if in case there's any data. Then I can also see the details of it, what type of table it is, whether it's a managed, where exactly the data is stored, in which location, what are the properties, when exactly it's created, and so on, and what permission level is present for that particular table. Then you can also see the important thing here, that is my lineage. In this lineage, if in case there's some upstream data, there's some downstream data, you will be able to see it inside the C lineage graph. You will see the complete lineage of it. Or if that particular table is used in any notebook, your workflow or pipeline, you can visualize that as well. So this is how basically you can take the advantage of Unity catalog and get your lineages and your permission settings. So the next thing that we have here is the secret scope. So for that, let me first open my command prompt. So in the command prompt, you have to first install the Databricks CLI. So I already have my Databricks CLI installed. So I will not be installing it again, but I will share the command that you can use in order to install it. So the command that you need to use is this: pip install Databricks CLI. Once the Databricks is installed, then you can check whether it's installed with the help of the command of Databricks, and it will show you all the details, all the help command of it, and the cluster policies and all whatever you can use with the Databricks command. Now you have to configure the Databricks. Once you have created the token, you can configure it. So how exactly you can create a token is with the help of your settings. Let me go back. In this settings, you can go ahead and create your own personal access token with, and mention what could be the time limit that you want the access token to be created. So I already have this particular access token. So if you click on generate new token, then you can create the token and use it. So I'm skipping this process because I have already configured the token. Once you type configure hyphen hyphen token, it will just ask you with the token that you have generated from the Databricks website. And once you give that, then it is actually linked to that particular developer workspace that you are in. So now let me first create the Databricks secret scope with the help of this particular command. So while it after it gets created, you can go ahead and list whether the Databricks secret scope is created or not to see that. So the secret scope name that I have is actually demo. So if you will see here, there are multiple secret scopes that are created. One is called demo, and this demo is backed by Databricks. So this is my Databricks backed secret scope. You can also create an Azure Key Vault backed secret scope. But in this demo, I'm just showing you how to create a Databricks backed secret scope. Once it's created, then you can go ahead and create your secret inside your secret scope. So you mention your secret scope name, that is the demo, and provide your key name, that is my access key, and what value the access key should contain is my key. So this is actually my key that is being residing inside the access key. So once I create this particular secret, I will be listing my secret scope again to make sure all my secrets are ready. And then I will go back to my notebook to see whether the Databricks secret scope we are able to see that or not. So it's still there. My demo is present. So let me go back to my notebook of secret scope. So this is the dbutils command that you have to use. So I will use the demo that I created just now, and I will see what is my key name that the secret scope demo is having. So whenever you want to use your secret scope, you have to use the secret scope name along with the key name. The key name that we are actually having is this access key. So in order to get it, you have to use the dbutils.secrets.get and then the scope. What is the scope name? Let me remove this demo one, and this is my scope and the key value. So it's actually redacted because you will not be able to see it, but this is how actually you can fetch the data that is present inside this particular secret of access key. Okay, so this is how you can actually use the secret scopes and Unity catalog along with the role-based access control. Any questions that we have, feel free to ask so that we can wind up in this. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you have a good day.